Okay, so I've got my clay here. This is recycled clay, like I mentioned in the previous video. I'm gonna take my handy dandy wire tool, okay? Believe it or not, ceramics people come up with pretty simple names for things. So if it's something that sounds like it might be, if you're trying to think of a name of something, just think of the simplest one, wire tool. It's a wire between two big washers, and you use it for cutting clay. It cuts it very easily. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna place it like this. I'm gonna draw the wire tool closer to my body, and I'm gonna open this up, okay? And so therefore you can see the inside of the clay. It's got a little groove in it because there are some knots in this wire tool, but for the most part, this clay looks pretty good. Sometimes you will find air bubbles, and I'm gonna see if I can't make some air bubbles, and I'll show you what those look like. Okay, so in your clay, if you cut it, okay, just like so, and you have something that looks like this, and I'll bring it up closer to the camera so you can see, okay, those little black marks right there in the middle, that's what we call an air bubble, okay, it's just a gap between the clay. Now, why are air bubbles bad? Well, air in clay is bad because we're gonna heat this up eventually, all right, and if there's an air pocket inside of that, when air heats up, what does it do? It expands, okay? Now, if air's in a balloon and you blow up a balloon and you heat up the air in the balloon, it's going to expand also. But the nice thing about a balloon is that the rubber of it stretches, and therefore it just makes it a tighter fit, okay? Or the balloon becomes a little bit more firm. Clay doesn't act like a balloon. Clay will not bend, it does not stretch or anything like that while we're in the kiln for the most part. So what tends to happen is the air that's trapped inside, when we put it into our kiln, we bring the temperature up nice and slow, but if we go a little bit too fast, and I'm talking maybe a couple, 10 to 15 degrees an hour too fast, what'll happen is that air will try to expand, the clay will say no, 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 until eventually it will actually explode. Now we're talking about when it explodes, the power of maybe 2 or 3 popcorn kernels popping at the same time. It's about like that, and actually sounds like that. You can hear it when it happens. We want to avoid that because that's going to, A, destroy your project, but as it explodes, it may knock debris into somebody else's project that's close by and could damage their project. So we want to remove those air bubbles, and so we don't have anything like that. And in the next video, that's where we're going to get into actually working with the clay, removing air bubbles, checking for the for inclusions or any debris that might be in there that we don't want. And then the third thing we're going to do is we're going to activate the clay. And I'll explain what that is in the next one.